Ron?
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron! All right, let's do this. You're listening to Movies with Ron, the podcast where Ron goes to see a new movie, sometimes an old movie, and recaps the whole thing for us from beginning to end, because we like his versions better. My name's Chris. I'm your MC for the time being. Here with me is Rick.
Dayo.
He's our sound guy.
What's going on?
And also with us, the steel-handed Stingray. Give him a hand, folks, because he's only got one. Ron.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
Did you guys see the second teaser to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
Second teaser?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
No.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Oh, man. Looks like a...
I think I might have walked into the theater tonight as that was ending.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. Looks fun.
Damn.
Yeah. It's pretty special. But the thing is these are just teasers. Later on, they're going to show us the real previews. And the whole movie is going to be ruined for us. Because you see these two teasers, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, that's all you need to see of this movie.
Yeah.
We're already going to go see it.
Yeah.
All right? And we've been seeing movie previews, like the long ones, for so long, we don't even know how to watch a movie correctly anymore.
Agreed.
And I'm calling for a boycott of any later Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 previews. You folks listening out there, try it. Watch the two teasers. It's enough. It's all you need to see. There's so much more of the movie that will surprise you. This is all you need to see. Later on, if a longer trailer comes out, close your eyes and plug your ears every time. And I think we should do this too.
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right.
That sounds good.
Mm.
You know, because tonight I saw a preview to Split, and you know that thing I was like, oh, yeah, he's a fucking werewolf.
Yeah.
Like, this preview now is, it's longer, and you see him, like, crawling around on the ceiling and shit. And, like, yeah, man, fucking giving too much away.
So we know he's a werewolf?
Well, we don't know he's a werewolf.
All right. Okay.
But he's, like, obviously some kind of supernatural monster shit.
All right. That's a good idea for a multiple personality thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced. There's also a teaser for The Mummy. That Tom Cruise thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's only like 10 seconds long.
And?
The Mummy's a woman.
Okay.
And Tom Cruise is like, I saw her. She's alive.
Uh-huh.
And he's got a hot blonde girl with him. And the big shot is the same shot you see in every fucking Tom Cruise movie where he's running towards the camera really fast, but he can't catch the camera because it's moving with him.
Oh.
And there's something big behind him. And, like, when you see Tom Cruise, like, doing this run, it's like, it's in every fucking Tom Cruise movie now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's doing a run. He's running. There's something big behind. He's running.
Yeah.
It's fucking, I don't know.
I agree with this.
He's an action star.
Yeah.
There was always a run towards the camera. And I do have a favorite one. I never saw the movie. I saw the preview. That's all I needed to see. Because the stunt was good. I liked it. But, it was one of those Mission Impossible movies. He was running down a bridge towards us.
Yeah.
And some bomb went off next to him and picked him up off his feet and threw him against a car.
I remember that.
I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. That was a good part.
Yeah. Just running away from fucking aliens in War of the Worlds and shit. Running down the street.
Yeah.
Chaos behind him. Trying to catch up to him.
Yeah.
In the midst of all these people's ashes. That was creepy.
Yeah. Not a good movie, but that was a pretty good part.
Mm.
But The Mummy, it's supposed to be scary. It doesn't look scary at all. Yeah. Wouldn't you like to see Tom Cruise in a horror movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing the same cool shit that Tom Cruise does, but it's a scary movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Someone needs to do that, if they haven't already. All right. There's a guy named Wes posted something on our Facebook.
All right.
Hey, Wes.
He didn't say anything. He just posted the picture,
Yes.
the poster for Catch the Excitement, Catch the Adventure, Catch the Hawk. Bruce Willis, Hudson Hawk. Remember Hudson Hawk?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Hudson Hawk was like, the first half hour was a fucking great movie. And then it just got like, bazoinkers.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I never saw
It
it.
starts out with a heist where he has to like steal a statue.
Yeah.
And he's with Danny Aiello. an unsung hero of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And then after that, after the adventure starts, where it involves Leonardo da Vinci and Andy McDowell, woman with a man's name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how I remember. And a bunch of henchmen named after candy bars. Before that, it was Danny Aiello and Bruce Willis doing the heists and singing the songs, and it was a great fucking movie.
Oh,
I want to
God.
see 2 hours of that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Hudson Hawk. That's the Hudson Hawk I want to see.
And they were singing the songs because it was the timing for the song, how long the song was how much he would guess he could get the job done in.
Oh yeah, and
so
that
he'd
was
sing the song.
That was
while
a
he doing
whole
it.
thing running through the first act, and then it's never touched upon again.
Never watched it. Always looked dumb to me.
And he ends up like hopping around the world and doing fuck.
Yeah.
I wonder if we pissed off Wes with that.
Nah, he's good. Thanks, Wes.
I'm a big Bruce Willis fan, so I liked that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey Rick, I pitched our Kessel Run movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I did a good job.
I still think it's a good idea.
Yeah?
Oh God. Yeah.
Have you thought of anything else? You know what I found out? The Kessel Run is a parsec is it's not time, it's distance. And so the Kessel Run is made in hyper speed, you know? So the only thing Han Solo did was he like plotted points on a map and managed to get the Millennium Falcon around those points in 12 parsecs.
That's the explanation of convenience that was come up with
But
to sweep under the rug the major mistake that they made in the writing when they said that shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So the Kessel Run could be anything. Could be like, oh yeah, the fastest record was like 15 parsecs, but Han made it in 12.
Or the shortest record.
Yeah. Hey, remember that documentary where they had to do that big car race around all the continents? The Gumball?
The Gumball 3000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Kessel Run movie should be that kind of race around
it
the
should,
galaxy, around
yeah.
different planets, you know? So if we're doing this big long distance and it's about plotting hyperspace. Anyways, yeah, Kessel Run movie.
I agree.
That'll work.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we said our favorite Christmas movies.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't anyone say Christmas Vacation? Isn't that the greatest Christmas movie ever?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But
like whenever it's on, I put it on.
not necessarily one's favorite, though. Definitely in the, top 5.
Anyways,
Hey, Anne Rice just regained the film rights to all of her stories.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, they're like all hers to control again now. She waited it out. That's the whole reason Queen of the Damned got made, is because they were about to revert back to her. So if they didn't put something out, they were going to lose the rights to it.
Oh my God.
So that's why they put out that garbage ass movie.
Yeah.
When I have this conversation with other people, they're like, "I liked it.
That movie was garbage.
Great soundtrack."
Now, see, Interview with the Vampire, closest you'll get to a Tom Cruise horror movie, but it's not really a horror movie.
Right.
So, hey,
It was still great, though.
yeah, yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about this is that Anne Rice has her sights set on a Game of Thrones type show.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. She doesn't want movies. That's what she wants.
Yeah.
And that's a good medium for that kind of shit.
Interesting.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
I hope that goes down.
People who made Penny Dreadful could make that shit.
Yep.
Think Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt would come back?
No. She never wanted Tom Cruise in the first place.
Yeah.
When she found out that he was cast as Lestat, she threw a big fucking bitch fit and then boycotted the movie herself.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody brought a video of it over to her house and showed it to her, and she was like, "Yeah, okay, he was good."
He's the best thing about that movie.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Brad Pitt just chews scenery.
He does. But it was a different time. I'd still say he was good in the role, because the role is scenery chewing, to be honest.
I guess.
And don't forget big, burly Antonio Banderas playing the 16-year-old French boy, Armand.
Do they say 16 in that movie?
They do in the books. He's like a kid.
You an Anne Rice nerd?
Nerd.
Yeah, I used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm a nerd, but I'm like
No. You just leave it at that.
you bastard.
Call a spade a spade.
I'm like the big monster guy from Revenge of the Nerds 2, who they induct at the end. And he's
Yeah.
like,
holy shit, what was his name? Ogre.
ogre. In order to do that, he drinks like a whole punch of something.
Yeah.
And then it makes him laugh like a nerd.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Fucking nerd potion.
I'll be honest, I kind of like the second. I'm the same way with Caddyshack, where it depends on when you were born. And I was born in the right time where I like Revenge of the Nerds 2 and Caddyshack 2 better than their first ones.
Now, I feel the same way about Caddyshack, for sure. Okay?
See, that is more of a wrong. That's a faux pas. Like someone would get violent with you for saying that.
I know,
Yeah,
but fuck that.
yeah. Caddyshack 2 is pretty good.
It was like way fucking better. Yeah, like when Revenge of the Nerds 1 came out, you know, I watched it, but I was like too young to really get it.
Oh, you
by
know
the-
why I like the second one?
Go.
Because they find a bunker full of guns. And I think they're driving a tank at some point. I don't know,
Yeah.
though. But
That was cool.
yeah, I loved guns.
Like in the first one, when you're like, man, this party sucks. And Booger is like, hey, guys. And he pulls out all those fucking joints, and he's like, Wonder Joints.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like, what's that? I didn't get any of the good shit.
You guys want to hear my recommendation?
No.
I do.
All right.
Hit me with it.
Rick, you remember Wilder Napalm from 1993?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
You've seen that?
He's shaking his head.
That was funny. No. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, this is a crazy fucking movie.
Yeah.
From 1993, it's got Deborah Winger, Dennis Quaid, and Arliss Howard. Dennis Quaid and Arliss Howard play brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feuding brothers movie, but they are pyrokinetics.
Yeah.
They
Wait.
can set shit on fire with their minds.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This sounds familiar now.
Yeah, and when they're kids, they're playing with fire, for real, and they end up killing someone, and so they kind of split part ways after that happens, and we follow Arliss Howard, who is Wilder. Wilder works a dead end job at some like photo hut thing, and apparently back then you could like support yourself and a wife and a house by working at a photo hut full time.
Yeah.
But Wilder has kind of suppressed himself and his powers, right? He's kind of a loser. But he's got a really hot wife, Vida.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vida's like the catalyst of this movie because Dennis Quaid is with the traveling circus.
Right.
And he rolls into town, and he's a clown. But he's a clown that can set shit on fire, right? And they end up fighting for Vida. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because Vida is a pyromaniac.
Yeah.
And she gets turned on by the fire. So she doesn't know who to choose.
Yeah.
Right? So the movie ends up like there's this guy. You know Arliss Howard. He's just face. So
Yeah.
you're not going to recognize his name. You know Dennis Quaid. It ends up with them like throwing fireballs at each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like down hallways and shit.
Uh-huh.
And dude, lots of fire in this movie. Shit blowing up. Big scene of Dennis Quaid and Vida like kissing, and everything around them ends up exploding.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
And
that.
this movie in 1993 was written by Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad.
All right.
What?
So you've got this early creativity you're getting from the Breaking Bad guy.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Also went on to do X-Files before that. But yeah, any Breaking Bad fans out there, look up Wilder Napalm. Good movie.
Yeah.
Man.
Just like Breaking Bad, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Heisenberg and everything.
We're kidding. It's not like Breaking Bad.
We're not kidding. All right, Ron,
Yes?
what'd you go see?
Bad Santa 2.
All right.
Getting into the Christmas spirit here.
Are you fucking with me?
Are you fucking with me? Thurman Merman? I'll make you a sandwich. I was talking to a buddy of mine who went to see this. And I was like, well, should I do a show on it? And he was like, I don't know. I feel like maybe you'd like it, but, not really. And it was either this or that Brad Pitt shit. Allied.
Oh, yeah?
And also Incarnate. Okay? That fucking...
I forgot what that was.
It's the one where Harvey Dent goes into people's minds and kills the demons inside of them, and that's how he's an exorcist.
Oh, okay.
Something just...
Yeah, no.
Well, I thought about it for a minute. I really did. Because, I love horror movies, okay? And a lot of times I do that. I'll go see a shitty horror movie, and it'll be a pretty good podcast. And it turns out, nobody likes a fucking movie. Like Lights Out. And I was like, no, I'm going to do Bad Santa. It was pretty good, man. I liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Of course it wasn't the same as the first one, but they did a pretty good job.
All right. Do we need to see the first one?
Of course.
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, just to know who everybody is, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that you all have.
That was your warning. Anything happen in the theater?
Nothing happened in the theater, but interestingly enough, when I was going to see this, Heather was taking her kids to see Moana. So I saw them in the parking lot. And I was like, have fun. I'm going to see Bad Santa too. Oh yeah, and then I went and got in the Prestige line, and I'm standing up at the front. There's a big ass line of normal people.
Yeah.
The commoners. And for some reason tonight, fucking cashiers weren't paying any attention to the Prestige line.
Motherfuckers.
I was pissed, man. I was hot. Like 2 or 3 fucking groups of people got picked ahead of me. And it was by this one particular girl down on the end. And I'm really hoping that she was just new.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then I finally got called up and I was like, yay! I'm not upset. Nothing wrong here. So because of that, I was a little late walking in. Like I said, I think that's how I missed that Guardians of the Galaxy shit.
Uh-oh.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
So here we go. Without further ado, Bad Santa 2 on Movies with Ron. All right, so it opens up with some music or some shit. And it's the landscape of the desert. Remember, the first movie took place on Phoenix, Arizona, I think.
Yeah.
And the camera moves in onto a city street, and we got Billy Bob Thornton, who plays Willie. And he's driving down the road in this really hot fucking black car. Okay, sports car. It's beautiful. He's all showered and looking good. He's all rich.
Yeah.
Okay? It's driving down this beautiful fucking city street and everything. He's just loving his life. The music's playing. He looks over at the left. And we get our first taste of sexy shit that only a Bad Santa movie can deliver it the way that it does. And all it is a mother breastfeeding her child. She's got her boob out, sticking into the baby's mouth and everything. And he's just he's driving the car, but his head is turned completely to the left, and he's just watching it. And he's just yeah. And then all of a sudden he hits some shit in front of him, and it turns out he ran into the fucking valet stand that he works at.
Oh, shit.
He gets out. He's wearing the same uniform as all the other valets, and they all start fucking screaming at each other. You can't hear it because the music's going, but they fire him.
Oh.
And he starts walking away, and then he runs back and pulls something out of the car, which is his bottle of fucking booze. So then it shows him in this shithole little hotel room, I guess, where he lives. And he starts a little narration. The narration is only at the beginning and the end. But he's yeah, so, my life pretty much has been one long, miserable fucking nightmare. And after that, it shows his new job. And he's mopping the floor in a fucking liquor store. Okay, and he's wearing like a fucking Walmart smock looking shit. You know, just like a clerk smock.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like staring at all the bottles. And he's just like, fuck it. And he just starts drinking. And back in his room, we see like pictures of the love interest from the first movie. And then pictures of Thurman Merman.
Yeah.
And he starts talking about him. And he's like, yeah, you know, closest thing I've ever had to a girlfriend is gone because, well, you can only throw up in somebody's lap so many times before they leave. And the kid, you know, he shows up every now and then. I gotta chase him off. So he's just a fucking loser again. And he fucking hates his life. And he's like, it's a wonder I haven't killed myself. And then he decides to kill himself. And he fucking like opens up a pizza box or something like that and just like scribbles on it with a pen. And we see what he wrote. It just says, donate my organs to science. And he misspelled science. And then he goes and he opens up the oven. Okay. And then he comes back and he scribbles something else on the box. And then he goes and he puts his head in the oven. And what he scribbled down was, except for my dick, put that in my hand. And then it shows him inside the oven. The camera is in the oven with him.
Yeah.
And he's just with his head in the oven and his eyes are closed, okay? And it's just like, he's decided this is it. He's about to go out. And then the fucking elements in the oven start to glow. And it gets all red and hot. It's a fucking electric oven. And it goes for a while before he notices it and like opens his eyes. And then his head is still in the oven in between these two red hot elements. And he just goes, God damn it. And after that, he decides to hang himself. And he wraps a toaster around the lighting fixture in his ceiling. And wraps it around his neck, the cord. And then fucking jumps off the chair. And is hanging there. Like choking and dying. But he's like doing it like real quiet. He's not like thrashing or anything. He's just like waiting to die. And right then we hear a knock on the door. And Thurman Merman is like, Willie, hello, Willie, are you there? And he opens up the door. And he just comes in. And he's like staring at him like wide-eyed. And he's like, wow, Willie, what are you doing? And Willie doesn't say anything. And he's just like, you know, I was trying to call you or something shit. And, you know, you didn't answer, so I decided to just come over. There was a package that arrived for you. You know, it's got a whole lot of money in it and a cell phone. And he dumps all this money onto the fucking table. And then Billy Bob Thornton starts to struggle. And he starts talking, okay? Like his neck's not broken, he's just choking. And he just goes, chair. And Thurman's like, what? What'd you say, Willie? He's like, get the fucking shit. And he like reaches up and like makes a little space in the noose for his throat. And he just goes, give me a fucking chair. And then Thurman's about to give him a chair. And then the whole thing just falls out of the ceiling and he hits the ground. Thurman is wearing he's wearing the same thing that he was wearing in the first one when he was a little kid. He's like 22 years old now. Okay. Yeah. And he looks just like he did in the first movie with this like golden blonde perm.
Yeah.
Okay. And a fucking t-shirt that's like 5 sizes too tight. And then these shorts. Okay. And the shirt he's wearing is from Hungry Hoagies. Okay. It's a sub shop.
Yeah.
Because remember, he's a sandwich fanatic.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, are you a fucking retard or something? And he's like, no, I'm not, actually. Hungry Hoagies tested me, and I'm at the top of the spectrum. So they made me a full-time sandwich consultant. And he's like, that's great. That's great, man. So in the package, he finds out that it was sent to him from Marcus, who is the little person, black guy from the first movie, his partner in crime.
Yeah.
Played by Tony Cox.
The guy across the street from Ice Cube in Friday with the hot wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't his wife. He was just fucking some dude's wife, I think. And then he got chased out.
No. he comes home later and his wife is fucking like the minister or something.
Oh, shit,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Who's regular height. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So he goes and he meets Marcus, and they're in like a fucking IHOP or something like that, and Marcus is telling him about another job. Marcus just got out of prison for everything that they did in the first movie, that it got pinned on him.
Okay.
And remember, in the first movie, he turned on Willie at the end
Yeah.
and tried to kill him. And Marcus is talking about the his girlfriend from the first movie, who's like the one that like made him turn on him and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, man, you know, I was just blinded. I was blinded by her, man. I'm so sorry." You know, and he's like, "Anyway, there's a new job." And fucking Willie's like, "Fuck that. You know, I don't want to fucking talk with you, man. Fuck you." And he's like, "No, fuck you, man." And he's like making fucking short jokes and shit. And then Marcus tells him, "Fuck you. You know, every time you fucking used to pass out, I used to lay my dick across your face and fucking take pictures of it and shit. And now I have them all posted on Instagram. I've got like 4 million followers." They hate each other and shit, but they're going to get together for one more job. And the job is in Chicago. And he's like, "Yeah, man, we can make like $2 million on this. You know, I got a tip from an associate of mine, and they're the person that we're going to do this job with." Okay? And he's like, "Yeah, all right, fuck you." So then he's at home. Willie's at home packing up, and Thurman's like, "You know, you can't leave. It's Christmas is coming. You know, we're a family. We just got back together." He's like, "We didn't get fucking back together, man. No, I'm fucking leaving." And he's like, "Yeah, but you know, do you even know what today is?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, "It's my birthday. I'm 21 years old. I'm a man now." And he's like, "Jesus, you're 21 now?" He's like, "Yeah. Are you still gonna pop my cherry?" And he's like, "What the fuck?" So then he's like, "First of all, I'm a guy. Okay, I'm not popping your cherry. That's, you know, somebody else does that. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do." So then it's the big fat hooker from the first movie. They're in a motel room. Her name's Opal. And Willie's talking to Opal, and he's like, "Look, man, this guy is like fucking retarded. So you can tell him to put his dick in your purse for all he knows, okay? And it'll be the easiest $20 you ever made." And she's like, "20? Hell no." It's like, 100. And he's like, 50, or I'll just go to your mother. And she's like, 60. And he's like, "All right, done." So then she's like getting ready. She's like, "All right, we got to make this quick. I got to pick up my granddaughter at daycare." And then he goes over to Thurman and he's like, "Okay, listen, here's what's going to happen. Okay, you're going to take your gear off. She's going to take her gear off. Then she's going to bend over and you're going to see something that looks like Japanese food. Okay, don't eat it." All right. After that, you know, put your hand on your Johnson, okay, until he move it around until he stands at attention, and then you're going to stick it in the Japanese food. She's going to have a raincoat for you. You want the raincoat, okay? Now, as soon as you're done, okay, you go into the bathroom and you wash your crotch, okay? So later you're not wondering why the hell there's oatmeal in your fucking pubes. And fucking Thurman is just like, okay. And he's like, "Now, how much money you got on you?" And he's like, "I have $20. And he's like, "Man, keep it down, man." And then Thurman's like, "I have $20. And he's like, "All right, you just give her that afterwards." So then he leaves, and Marcus is outside in a cab waiting for him, and he's just about to get in when Thurman just runs out of the room screaming. And just runs away. So then it cuts to those two in Chicago. It's all snowy and shit. And they're walking down the street. And they're bitching at each other. And Willie looks at Marcus and he's like, "You know what, man? Jeez, you need some pussy. You know, just hang on. Maybe I'll find you a cat or something." So then they get to where the job is going to be. And it's a fucking charity. And Billy Bob is like, "What the fuck, man? I ain't fucking doing this. I'm fucking robbing a fucking charity. Fuck you. You know? I'm not fucking doing that shit at all. Fuck that." He's like, "Come on, man. It's going to be $2 million. You know, come on. Just come in. Just come in. All right?" So they walk inside, and it's like a charity foundation for kids. And the lobby is all decorated for Christmas, and there's some tiny little elf chairs. And Billy Bob is like, look, they made you some chairs. He's like, fuck you. There's a whole lot of that shit in this movie. So they get to the security desk, and there's this weird little fucking ratty guy. And he's like, makes them take all their shit out of their pockets. And Billy Bob has a fucking flask. And the little weird guard is like, what's that? Let me see it. He's like, it's my medicine, man. Just, fuck you. I need this. And he's like, yeah, let me smell it. He smells it, and he's like, this is level 5 contraband. I'm gonna have to compensate this. And he's like, what the fuck? So he's like, fuck it, we'll get it on our way out, all right? So they're going in, and then this chubby lady guard is taking them to the big meeting that they're supposed to be at. Mm-hmm. And Marcus is like fucking in love with her because her big giant ass is like right in front of his face. Remember, he just got out of prison?
Yeah.
So he's fucking staring at it. And then they get inside, and it's just a big room full of guys, and they're all fucking, moving stuff around, and there's a whole lot of Santa suits.
Yeah.
And then walking up to them comes Christina Hendricks.
Yeah.
From Mad Men?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'll tell you what, dude.
I love her.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
She is fucking great in this shit.
She was in Drive, too. She was good in that.
Yeah, yeah. So she comes walking up to him. She's wearing these tight jeans and these high heel shoes. And Billy Bob is like, he just goes, God damn, I bet that pussy has lips like a fucking orangutan. She walks up and she's like, hi, guys. You're a little late for the meeting, but, it's okay. So this is what you're going to be doing and everything. And Billy Bob's just like, uh-huh. And he's standing behind Marcus, okay? And Marcus is wearing like a big coat with a hood, but the hood is pushed back. And all of a sudden the hood like starts moving up like real slow. And fucking Marcus notices. So the lady finishes talking and she walks away. And then Marcus is like, God damn, man. A fucking boner for real? He's like, come on, calm down, man. It's just a semi. So then they get led into the fitting room where everybody's getting their Santa suits. And Willie's like, I am not putting a fucking suit on, man. Fuck you. I'm done with the suit. I thought I was done with the suit. He's like, come on, man. It's just one last job. It's fine. He's like, God damn you. So he's like, all right. So then they go up to the lady that's handing out the suits. And he just walks up to her, and it shows her, and it's Kathy Bates, and she just looks up at Billy Bob Thornton and just goes, shit stick. And then he just punches her in the fucking face. He doesn't say a fucking word. And then she just like recovers like real nicely and just goes, well, I'll tell you one thing. You still hit like your fucking father. And he's like, no way, goddammit, I'm not working with that bitch.
Oh, man.
He's like, no, come on, man. He's like, associate my ass. It was my mother. You son of a bitch. And he's like, come on, man, it's going to be fine, She's been working this angle for a while. And she's like, just hear me out. So she tells him, all about the heist, how every year this charity, they send out all the Santas, okay? They collect donations in their buckets. All that cash gets taken back and put into a safe in the boss's office. The boss is named Regent. He is also the husband of Christina Hendricks.
Oh, okay.
So she's like, all we got to do is get into that safe. Okay. We'll use Marcus to do all the, find out where everything is because he can crawl through the vent shafts and everything. And, I assume you can still crack a safe. And he's like, yeah. But why? You don't need me. You can crack a fucking safe. And she's like, well, I got a touch of the Parkinson's, okay? And my hearing's not what it used to be, so I need you on the safe. And he's like, God damn it. He says no, and he goes outside, and then Marcus comes out and talks him back into it. And they agree that they are going to betray her at the end. They're going to take the money, they're going to cut her out. So then they're back inside, and she's talking for a little while about what it was like raising him. Mm-hmm. And we see, family photos of him and shit. And she's like, yeah, every so often. And she's like, she looked like this really nice older lady at the charity. Okay. And now she's at home and she's like taking off her wig. She's got this super short hair and she's got all these fucking tattoos on her arms and everything. She just looks like this really mean fucking biker broad. Okay. And she's like, yeah, you know, sometimes I used to have him wait outside while I was turning tricks. It was really embarrassing. And he's like, fucking embarrassing for you? Isn't that the pot calling the other pot fucking kettle or some shit? I don't know however the fuck you say it. And then everybody fucking laughs. And Kathy Bates just turns to Marcus and goes, he was homeschooled. So then it cuts to him out on the street in the Santa suit taking donations. And the other two are there. Marcus is in an elf suit, even though he had a fight with the suit people. He was like, no, it's supposed to be a Santa suit, but a little one. And they're like, no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is all we have. And Billy Bob was like, there is a God. So he's all like discriminated against. So he's Willie's on the street corner. You know, yeah, come on, take, you know. He's like being mean to everybody walking by. He's like, come on, bitch, you can afford more than that. Type shit. Think about someone other than yourself for fucking once. And then this other guy walks up and he's another Santa. And he's like, oh, ho, ho, ho. He's like staying in character while he's talking to him. And he's like, you're in my spot. Well, it doesn't have your fucking name on it. He's like, well, I know, you know, I did leave it unattended. Ho, ho, ho. But, you know, I'm back now. I just had to go to the little boy's room. And he's like trying to push him away out of his spot. And Billy Bob is like, fuck you, man. You're like, you're probably just like a fucking pedophile. You're just here to, you know, try to fucking get it on and grab little fucking children. And, you know, I'm like cutting into your spot. Am I? I'm cutting into your action there? And then the other Santa is like, oh, you know what you need? You need a hug. Come on, come in, come here. And he like pulls him in for a hug, okay? Uh-huh. And while he's hugging him, that Santa whispers into his ear. He's like, come on, man. You're fucking scaring the kids away. And then Billy Bob is like, you son of a bitch, fucking pedophile, and just beats the shit out of him on the street. And everybody's all scared and terrified of what's happening. And then he's like, he's trying to touch your kids, you know? So you guys all better get the fuck out of here. And then the cops roll up and arrest Billy Bob. And he's like, I was doing a public service. So then he's in a holding cell. And he's just fucking sitting there. And then this big fucking giant tattooed motherfucker walks up to him and he's like, yeah, hey, I always wanted to fuck me a Santa. And Billy Bob just looks up at him and goes, and I always wanted to shit all over a tattooed dick, so okay, let's do this. And then somebody comes in and goes like, all right, you're getting bailed out. And he's like, see you later. He just leaves. And it turns out that Diane bailed him out. That's Christina Hendricks. And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, well, you're not the first Santa of ours to, you know, go off the rails. It's fine. You know, after you can keep the suit until you get yourself cleaned up, and then you can turn it in. And he's like, oh, you can't fire me. And she's like, why? You know, you're fucking, you know, we have rules, and you are flouting them. And he's like, flouting? I ain't never sucked jizz out of anybody's ass. Okay? Like with a straw? Never. And she goes, I believe that's called felching, but I wouldn't know. He's like, you can't fire me. I need this, you know? And I love kids. I just want to help. And he's like, you know, giving her a sob story and stuff. And she's like, okay, that's fine, but I won't fire you if you let me help you too. And he's like, yeah, okay. Then it cuts to Marcus, and he's in the vents doing recon. And he's watching into the big boss's office from the AC vent. And the boss is in there with his secretary, and it becomes apparent that he's fucking his secretary. And they're talking about how they're going to be losing a lot of money this year because that's him stealing from the company.
Oh, shit.
And they do it every year. She's like, yeah, the charity's going to lose a whole lot of money this year. And he's like, every time you say that, I get such a fucking hard on. And then she's like, yeah, well, I'm busy. I'm doing some fucking work here. And he's like, oh, come on. Let's just do it right now. And she's like, fine, I'll even let you do the shoe thing. And he goes, all right, but you got to watch. It's fucking weird. He's like got a shoe thing. So she like gets up, takes off her shoes. And then it cuts to Billy Bob in a bar, and his mom is sitting there, and she looks fucking horrible. She's not in her costume for the charity. She's just like straight up biker chick, and she just like looks so fucking rough. And she's sitting there, and every time she says his name, she doesn't say his name. She says shit stick. And she looks at the guy next to them, and she's like, "You want to know why we call him shit stick? Because every time he got some new stuffed animal or anything as a kid, he would try to fuck it in its butt. Doesn't matter what it is. If it had a butt, he tried to fuck it." So they're just talking about how their lives sucked, how she was a shitty mom and he was a fuck-up son. And she's like, "Yeah, well, it's not my fucking fault. We were going to wait a year or two to have kids, okay? And then all of a sudden, the one time your father doesn't put it up my ass, I get pregnant." And he's just like, "Jesus Christ, do you even know what son means?" So she pulls out her phone and she's like, "Where the hell is Marcus?" And then she goes to call him. And then it cuts to Marcus in the fucking vent. And then his phone starts ringing. "Pop that pussy!" And Regent and his secretary in the office, they hear it. And he freaks out. And he calls security, that weirdo little ratty guy from the beginning. And he's like, "I think my wife is having me followed. So I need you to follow her and see what's going on." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, I got it. I'm on it." He's like taking himself too seriously and shit. So Marcus got out of there. And then now he's meeting with them. And they realize that in order to do the job, they have to have a key to the electrical closet. And they're like, "Well, who has the keys to that?" And it's that chubby, big-butted security guard that Marcus is in love with. And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I got this." So he goes and he starts hitting on her and everything. And she's like, "I'm a fucking princess. And, you need to be able to, like, really fucking bring it. Feed me lobster and shit if you want to fuck with me." And he's like, "Come on, girl. One hit of me and you'll be addicted." And she's like, "I don't think so." And he's just like, "Come on." And he's like talking her into going out with him. So then Diane, she gets fucking Billy Bob to help her take some toys into the concert hall where all the kids are going to put on this big play. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's where they have a little moment where, Billy Bob really realizes that he likes her. Then he's back at home. And he's sitting on the couch eating pizza, and Kathy Bates comes in, and she's burping and shit and being all nasty. And she's like, "Oh, I've been eating caramels. You know how they make me belch. Remember when we were young, and you were a little boy, and I used to chew caramels up and spit them into your mouth, like my little baby bird." And he's like, "Jesus Christ!" And then she's like, "Yeah, no, I would put them in my mouth and I would chew them up until my spit was all like really milky, and then I would and she like leans over and like grabs his face, and then I would just spit it right in, and he just like fucking loses it, and he like throws her off of him, and there's food from his mouth like all over her now, and he's like, "Jesus, I'm fucking eating pizza here," and then he's like looking forward, and he just talks to himself. He's like, "Fucking electric oven." So then Marcus is on a date with the chubby guard, and she's eating all this fucking lobster, and he's like, yeah, like he's doing it. And then at the end, he takes her home, and she's like, "Okay, well, I had a really nice time, Marcus." And he's like, "Well, maybe we should take this party upstairs." And she's like, "You know what? No." And he's like, "What the fuck? Is it my height? It's my height, isn't it?" She's like, "No, darling, I don't see height at all, I promise." And he's like, "Well, then what is it?" And she's like, "Okay, it's your height." And he's like, "Motherfucker." And she fucking leaves him high and dry. So then Diana's taken Billy Bob to an AA meeting. Remember, she didn't fire him as long as he let her help him.
Okay.
And in the meeting, you find out that she's an alcoholic too. And afterwards, he's like, "Yeah, so, yeah, you were a drunk?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, it was really bad." And he's like, "I bet you were having all kinds of dirty sex and stuff." She's like, "Yeah, it was really, really bad. Before I met Regent, there were 3 ways, there were 5 ways." And he goes, "5 ways? How many holes you got?" And then she's like, yeah, but those days are over. You know, I'm with Regent now, and everything's better since I quit drinking. And he's like, there's like a moment, and he reads into it, and he like leans up to her, and he goes, you know, I would really like to just throw you in this back seat and just like get your ass all up on my face and just like fuck your pussy so fucking hard. And then she just goes, what the fuck? Fuck you. This is, oh my God, get out of my car. Get out. And he's like, what? Come on. All right. I'm sorry. And she's like, get out. And he's like, all right. I guess I read you wrong. Okay. It's no big deal. So then he's walking down the street, and then the car pulls back up, and he turns around, and she's looking at him at the window, and she just goes, okay. It's been a decade since, you know, me and Regent have had sex, you know, and sometimes I just need to be bad. And like, he's like, all right then. He as he's walking around the car, he just goes, that's what I fucking thought. See, I was right. And then it just cuts to them fucking in an alley. And she's bent over, and he's just like fucking behind her, doing it. And she's like, oh yeah, it's so dirty. It's so dirty in here. Tell me how dirty it is. And he's like looking around, and he's like trying to concentrate. He's like, yeah, it's pretty dirty. She's like, no, tell me it's dirty. And he's like, call me Santa. And she goes, what? No way. And he's like, all right. She's like, tell me it's dirty. He's like, it's so dirty. So then it cuts to him getting home, and Kathy Bates is on the toilet with a TV on the floor in front of her that's like just blocking all of her private parts. It's all like gross looking. And Billy Bob is like, oh, Jesus. She's like, I can't miss The Bachelor. Okay, it's the finale. I can't miss it. At this point, we cut to Thurman Merman, who has decided to follow Billy Bob to Chicago.
I was wondering if we were done with him.
And like he's been like trying to figure out how to get to Chicago. Like he was at a bus stop in Arizona, and this bus pulls up, and he walks up to the driver, and he's like, does this bus go to Chicago? And she's like, no, this bus goes to the mall. And he's like, is that near Chicago? And she's like, no. And he's like, okay. And he just gets on the bus. Oh. So somehow he made it. And he's in Chicago, and it's all fucking snowing and everything. And he's just like walking down the road, looking at all the high buildings. And he is just in his shorts and his T-shirt.
Oh, God.
So then we got Regent, and he's having that weird security guard investigate Billy Bob Thornton, find out who he is and everything. And then it cuts to Billy Bob, and he's out on the street doing the Santa thing, and he's just like standing outside of some gym watching a women's spin class. And he's just like looking at all the butts. And then his mom pulls up, and she's like, come on, we gotta go. And he's like, God damn it, the one thing that I can enjoy in this life, and you gotta shit all over that too. She's like, come on. So she takes him to this like super mansion, and she's like, every year these assholes have a big party to benefit kids, and they want Santa and Mrs. Claus, so you're gonna do the Santa thing, and I'm gonna rob these fuckers blind, okay? And he's like, yeah, fine. So then he has to sit there. He's like, you know, I didn't ever want to do this ever again with kids on my lap. She's like, come on, it's fine. So he has to do that shit all over again, and the first kid that's sitting on his lap is just like fucking staring at him for like 30 seconds. He's like, come on, kid, what? And then the kid just goes, I'm sorry, Santa. I really had to go. And then it just shows this big puddle of piss at their feet. And fucking Billy Bob goes, oh, okay. Well, I thought that was me. And there's this other little girl that's like, says this incomprehensible shit where she's like, I want a cow that moves but not poop. I want a cow that moves but doesn't poop, and some duct tape so I can make a boat. And he's like, what? And then she says it all again. This other kid's like, I want a penguin, but it doesn't have to be alive. And the last kid's like, I want a hand grenade. And he's like, you want a hand grenade? Well, you can't have one, okay? I want a hand release, but I can't have one of those, can I? And the kid's like, what's a hand release? And he's like, it's like a compromise. And then all of a sudden this waitress comes over, she gives him a drink. And then she takes a drink and chugs it down. And then she just looks at him and goes like, come on. And it shows them off in some room somewhere, and she's standing behind him, giving him a reach around through the suit. And he's just like, he's got this look on his face like, oh, Jesus. And he's like, that is some grip you got there. What the hell's going on here? Are you like some kind of athlete? And she's like, Olympic shot put alternate. And then it shows the mom, and she's robbing the place, stealing all the silver and the jewelry and shit. And she's going through drawers, and she finds a vibrator, and she steals that too. She's tripping kids, being mean to him when no one's looking. And then it shows Marcus, and he's walking into the charity, and that weird security guard is giving him shit. And then Marcus isn't putting up with it. He's like, man, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna fuck your wife. And then the guard goes, well, my wife has been dead for 6 months, so haha, the joke's on you. And then Marcus goes, oh yeah, well that's no problem, okay? Because rigor mortis just makes the pussy tighter. And then the guard goes like, oh Jesus. Like, okay, now it's too much. So after the party, Billy Bob and Kathy Bates, they're driving around, and she's coughing because she's like sick and dying. He's like, pull over here for a second, keep the motor running. And then while he's in the store, she's like looking at the vibrator and stuff and laughing. And then he comes out and he's like, go, go, go. And they speed away. And he just goes, here you go. And he gives her some cough medicine. So it's like, oh, he does love her, Take a little shot of Fireball here. So then it cuts to him fucking Diane in a Christmas tree lot. And he's like, call me Santa. Call me Santa. And she's like, all right, fine. Fuck me, Santa. And he's like, no, louder. And they're like, going. They're doing it. And then she's like, oh, fuck me, Santa. Fuck me, Santa. Fuck me, Santa. And then the camera pans to the left, and you see that there is only like one row of trees behind them. And on the right on the other side of that is like all these families buying their Christmas trees. And everybody's running away. Afterwards, they're in the car, and he's getting out, like she drove him home. And he's like, listen, they have this tender moment. He's like, listen, I'm not the romantic type, okay? I really am not. But, I do really have to tell you something. There's just something about you. And she's like, yeah? And he's like, you have got some absolutely gigantic titties, okay? And that's no shit. And she just like smiles and nods. Like, thank you. So then Thurman calls him, and he's like, I'm in Chicago. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? God damn it. What? I never told you to follow me here. He's like, yeah, it's really cold here. And I didn't bring a jacket. All I brought was my gloves. And it's his fucking clear vinyl sandwich making gloves. And he's like, shit. So I guess he gives him directions to his mother's apartment. Kathy Bates opens the door, and Thurman Merman just goes, Grandma Willie! And he hugs her. And he's sitting there like telling her the story of his stuffed elephant from the first movie.
Yeah.
That was the present that Willie gave to him. And Willie got shot like 8 times trying to get it out of the mall. So there's actually this big dried blood stain on it. And he's telling her the story of how he got it. And he's like, yeah, and it's got his own blood on it. This big nasty blood stain on it. Willie gets home. And then Kathy Bates is like, who the fuck is this kid? And he's like, I don't fucking know. He's just a kid. Is he yours? No. That's good. Man, he is fucking weird. And he keeps trying to make me a sandwich. Then Marcus shows up. And they're like, do you have the key yet? And he's like, no. He's all pissed off. Because that guard won't give him any action. And then Marcus sees Thurman there. And he's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this kid doing here? He's like still in your life. It's like, am I just seeing things? And then Kathy Bates is like, oh yeah, you better watch out. Some pussy can cause hallucinations if you eat too much of it. Fucking Kathy Bates, man. And Thurman Merman goes, one time I ate too much turkey bacon and I couldn't poop for 2 weeks. For 4 weeks. And everybody's just like, what the fuck? Kathy Bates is like, get rid of him. So he's taking him out of the house, and Thurman's like, can we get some Chicago-style pizza? I hear it's just like pizza, but in Chicago. So they're walking, and then, he's trying to get rid of him, trying to chase him off. And then Thurman does that thing again where he's like, I know you're not the real Santa, but you're my Santa. It's like we're family. And it kind of touches, Billy Bob's heart.
Yeah.
So he sees a laundromat, and he's like, all right, well, come with me. And then they're just sitting in this fucking laundromat because it's warm. And Thurman is like asleep on his shoulder. And then Billy Bob like kind of scoots out from under him and leaves him fucking laying on the bench sleeping. And he grabs some lady's coat out of the laundry and like drapes it over him. It's like this big purple coat. Mm-hmm. As he's putting it on him, he sees all these 20s sticking out of Thurman's pocket. And he like fucking takes them. And you as the moviegoer are like, what the fuck? No, come on, man. You're supposed to love this kid. And he like takes it, and then he just fucking leaves. And he stops and he looks back into the window and just sees him laying there with this big purple coat all over him. And then he like walks out of frame, but the camera does not cut away. And you just hear Billy Bob go, God damn it. And then it cuts to him and Thurman in the giant purple coat walking into the charity that he works for. And he's taking him into the fucking halfway house.
Okay.
Where almost all of the other Santas are living. All the other homeless Santas. And it's all gross and shit. And Thurman's like, I don't think I'm going to like it here. And he's like, no, come on, man. You're going to be fine. All right. Just if you got to take a shit, okay, don't sit on the toilet. All right, just like squat over it and shoot your poop into the bowl, okay? Because I think crabs can jump, so don't do that. And he's like, oh, I don't like it here. I don't like it here, Willie. And he's like, you're gonna be fine. See, there's some pretty cool guys here, except for that guy over there who's jerking off. And then it shows some dude just sitting on his bunk jacking off. And he's like, and that guy across from him just watching him jack off, and it shows that too. He's like, come on. This is life, all right? You're a man now. Welcome to the shit show, all right? Now, you're going to be fine. So then it cuts to Kathy Bates at work the next day talking to the chubby guard lady. And she's like, yeah, my son. No, not my son. She's like, yeah, I heard that Santa over there, Billy Bob, I heard that he really likes you. And she's like, really? Because I like him too. Like, she doesn't like Marcus. She likes fucking Billy Bob Thornton. And she's like, yeah, but you know what? He is a pretty shy person, so, you're probably going to have to make the first move. And she's like, oh, okay. And then it cuts to Billy Bob. He's drunk in a bar. And then the chubby guard walks up. And she's like, hey, what's going on? And then it just cuts to them fucking in the bathroom. And he's got her up on the fucking sink. And he's doing her. And she's like, oh, yeah, come on, make mama come. And then he stops and he goes, no. No fucking mom shit, okay? No mother shit. I don't fucking like that. And then she just fucking slaps him across the face. And she's like, you don't stop until I tell you to stop. And he's like, well, okay. All right, we'll turn around. So she turns around, and then he reaches over her and, like, squirts some fucking hand soap into his hand. Yeah. And then he brings his hand back behind her, and she's like, what are you doing? No, that's my... And then he just, like, shoves his dick in her butt. And she just goes, oh, my God. Oh, I've never done this. It's amazing. Oh, yeah, go. And then it just cuts to him, like, passed out on the bathroom floor. And he's got her keys in his hand, and she's walking out of the bathroom, like, putting herself back together, like, oh, my God. That was amazing. So then Thurman is in his bunk in the fucking homeless shelter, and he hears singing. So then he gets out of bed and he walks into the chapel, and there's all the kids that are practicing singing for the play. So then he starts talking to them, and the lady who's, running it, and she's like, yeah, would you like to be in our play? And he's like, yeah. And then she gives him a fucking Santa suit. And he's like, really? Like, I get to wear this? And she's like, yeah. He's like, okay. Cuts to Billy Bob getting home, and he catches Kathy Bates looking on her laptop, looking at something called SantaCon. It's supposed to be this big giant party in Chicago where it's nothing but Santas. And she's like, did you get the keys? And he's like, yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure that bitch roofied me too. And she's like, yeah, it's always hard it's always hard roofing a guy because you got to get off before everything goes slack. You know? And then fucking Marcus comes home and Kathy Bates is like, yeah, you know, fucking Billy Bob was able to seal the deal. Have you always been so useless? And he's like, what are you, you joking, right? You didn't fuck her. And he's like, yeah, I did. And then Marcus just goes fucking crazy and just fucking attacks him.
Oh.
And then he fucking gets all pissed off and he leaves. And that's when Kathy Bates looks at Billy Bob and she's like, we're going to cut him out of this job at the end. We're going to betray him. And he's like, oh, come on. He's not so bad. And she's like, yeah, you know what? He tried to kill you. Okay? He's like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure he's sorry for that. It's fine. And she's like, no. I'm still protecting you. You're still my son. So here. And she gives him a gun. And she's like, the whole reason I'm doing this is because, you know, after we get this money, you and me, we're going to Mexico. Okay? And we're going to start over. And he's like, oh, come on. We're not that kind of people. You know, we don't really love each other. And she's like, no, things are different when you get to the end of the road, son. You know, like I'm dying. And he's like, yeah, well, fuck, okay. So then Thurman shows up and invites Billy Bob to the play. It's tomorrow night, you know, and you're supposed to bring your family. And, you know, you find out that his grandma from the first movie is dead. And he's like all alone.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, but, you know, my family died, but now I get to pick my family, and I picked you. And it's all like touching and shit. And Willie's like, okay, you know, I'll try to make it. And he's like, thanks, Willie, okay. And then Kathy Bates is like, you're going soft. You're going soft for that kid. Fuck you. So now we enter the third act as the Christmas concert is beginning. At the same time, the heist is starting. Okay? And it keeps cutting back and forth between the two. So Marcus, Billy Bob, and Kathy Bates, they're all driving the van, and they're going to go and sneak in the back of the building and, you know, start stealing all that fucking money out of the safe. At that point, that weird guard from the beginning, he gets a phone call, and he's like, you got a match? And then he gets a fax, and he gets the wanted posters for Marcus and Billy Bob. And he's like, oh, shit. And he runs into the fucking concert hall where all the kids are singing and everything, and fucking Thurman Merman is on stage with all of these kids in a Santa suit, and they're all singing. And he gives the wanted posters to the boss man, Regent. And then that guy's like, find them! They're after my shit! And Billy Bob is in the back of the room, and he sees that happen. And at that point, Diane walks up to him, and she's like, yeah, you know, this is all because of you. You know, all of your hard work to give these kids a good Christmas. And, you know, here you go. And she gives him her fucking hotel room key.
Uh-huh.
And then at that point, Thurman Merman gets a solo, and he starts singing Silent Night. And it's beautiful. And Billy Bob is like fucking stuck in place and just like entranced by it. And he like waves to Billy Bob when he sees him, and he waves back, and Billy Bob starts crying. And at that point, Kathy Bates, using the electrical closet key, goes in and turns off the power to the building. So everybody freaks out, and then the power comes back on, and Billy Bob is gone. And now the chubby girl is trying to look at the video screens, because the boss was like, find them, look, check the video. And they're all the screens are just snow. It's like they're all screwed up. Billy Bob is in there cracking the safe with Marcus, and they open it up, and there is a whole stack of cash in there, a big one. And he's like, oh man, there's no way this is $2 million. You know, it's only maybe like 600,000 or something like that. And then Marcus goes, that's enough for my cut, and then pulls a gun on Billy Bob.
Oh, man.
Like fucking again. Fucking turns on him. And then Billy Bob is like, oh man, really? Fucking again? And he's like, yeah, man, fuck you. I'm going to start over with this money. And he's like, yeah? Well, how about this? And then he pulls his gun on him. And he's like, yeah, you're not so big now, are you? So now they're both holding each other at gunpoint, and they still have to escape. And they have to go down the fucking garbage chute into the dumpster. And they get into the dumpster, and they climb out, and there's Kathy Bates waiting for him. And Kathy Bates is now wearing a fucking Santa suit. And he's like, what the hell are you doing in a Santa suit? And then she pulls a gun on both of them. And she's fucking... Everybody's double-crossing everybody except for fucking Billy Bob.
Oh my God.
So then he pulls his gun on her, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Shoot me. Go ahead. Shoot your mother. And he's like, he's about to. And then he's just like, no, I can't do it. And he puts the gun down. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter anyway because they're blanks. I would never give you a fucking loaded gun. And then Marcus starts yelling at her, and he's like, well, I'm not afraid of you, you fucking bitch. Blah, blah, blah. And then she just shoots him in the chest. And he fucking goes down. Like he falls down dead. Okay. And then the cops find him, and they're like, put your hands up, drop the weapon, blah, blah, blah. And they're coming after fucking Kathy Bates turns around, starts shooting at the cops. She jumps in the van and drives away, drives right over Marcus. And it shows his body like, get mangled under the wheels.
What the fuck?
Like they like gave him some undue comeuppance. Oh, yeah? You're going to be the bad guy in the first movie? Watch this. So then she drives away, and she escapes by running into SantaCon. That's why she was wearing the suit. And she's got her fucking Santa bag, and it's full of all the money. And she's running through there, and she's got a gun, and it's just this giant fucking wild, super crowded party of Santas. Okay? There's all this music playing and everything, and you can see that Thurman is walking around in there because he's got a suit. He can go. He's just like walking around looking at everybody, and fucking Billy Bob like jumps over the barrier, so he gets in there too. He's chasing her. There's no way he can find her, but he eventually does. And they're out on the ice where people are ice skating. They're like trying to walk across it. And she pulls her fucking gun on him. And he's like, what are you going to do? You going to shoot me too? Really? Really? And then she just shoots him. And he fucking goes down. He's like, you fucking bitch, you fucking shot me. And she goes to run away. He grabs the bag. And she's like, let go, let go. And she's like kicking him. And then she kicks the bag to get it out of his grip.
Yeah.
And then it opens up and all the money fucking flies into the air. And it rains down on all the Santas. And they're all grabbing it and everything. And she's like, you son of a bitch. And then she just aims the gun right at fucking Billy Bob. And she is going to kill him. And at that point, Thurman Merman just goes, Willie! And he runs up and hugs him and ends up taking the bullet.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
Okay, so then it cuts to Billy Bob on a stretcher, getting taken away by paramedics. And he's like watching, because he's shot and he is dying. And he's like watching over here, and he sees his mother like getting put into a squad car. And she's like looking at him as she's going in there. And then he looks over to the right, and there's Thurman Merman. And he is on a stretcher too, but he's laying face down. But he's like, he's okay. He's looking up. And he looks over at Billy Bob, and he's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's in my butt. He just got shot in his ass.
Oh.
And then Billy Bob just fucking dies. And Thurman is like, no, Billy Bob. And they're like 20 feet away from each other. And like, he just fades out like he's fucking dead.
Oh.
And then he, you see a bunch of, he's sort of coming to, he's definitely in the hospital. Okay. And, you can hear all kinds of commotion around him, like people trying to save his life and shit. And he's just like, oh God, no, oh my God, and then he like, it kind of fades in, and he's like laying in bed, okay, and he's going, oh my God, and then the camera like pans out, and Diane is in there with him, giving him a hand job under the blanket, and he's like, oh my God, oh, and then he comes, and he's like, oh my God. And then she just looks at him and goes, Merry Christmas, and then leaves. And then he starts narrating the end, and he's like, well, so I guess this is sort of a happy ending, and I just got to say, like when life tries to give you a happy ending, you gotta just try and say fuck it and just take it. And then it shows him, he's like, now he's a janitor at the fucking charity.
Yeah.
Like, that's his job now. He's like mopping the floors and shit, and it's Christmas Eve. Like he is okay. So he goes into the fucking homeless shelter where Thurman lives now and is sleeping. And Thurman has hung up a stocking, and then Billy Bob just starts pulling shit out of his pockets and putting it in his stocking for him, like rubber bands and fucking, broken candy canes and shit, even like a used Band-Aid. He's just like trying to give him something. So as he's talking about, when you're faced with a happy ending, go ahead and take it. Then it cuts to him walking in, like looking. He's in the hospital, okay? And he's like looking back and forth, trying to see if anybody's watching. And then he like walks into this hospital room and closes the door behind him. And then he looks across the room, and in the hospital bed is fucking Marcus. Okay, and he's like so fucked up and broken so badly that he's in complete traction.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's got like a fucking tube down his throat and everything, and he's kind of sleeping. And then Billy Bob just kind of like walks up to him and is standing over him. And at that point, Marcus does wake up and see him, and then it just shows Billy Bob just like start to unzip his janitor suit. And he unzips it and he like walks over closer to Marcus, and then Marcus's eyes just get really wide and he's like, no, no, no. And then it just cuts to credits, and overlaid over the credits are nothing but all of these fucking Instagram posts of Marcus's face with a fucking big pink hairy nutsack on his face. And him like making different faces and shit. And at one point, like, Billy Bob had kind of stuck it in his mouth a little because he couldn't do anything to stop it. So that's it. That's Bad Santa 2 on Movies with Ron.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
There's a lot of sex scenes in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good job, though.
Yeah.
The fucking breastfeeding mom at the beginning. Only the way the Bad Santa movies can show you this.
Because they make it so dirty and nasty and disgusting. Like, it is kind of hard. Sorry.
It made me laugh.
Hell yeah.
Is it a Christmas movie?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Christmas movies, we've given this guy a shout out on the show before. This guy who follows us on Twitter named Sal Roma. Okay. I've talked about him, but I've never mentioned the fact that he reviews movies. Okay. Yeah. Does them all the time. Watches way more movies than I do on a normal basis. And he recommended one of his favorite horror Christmas movies. And I just watched it last night. It's called Wind Chill. You ever see this?
No.
It's an Emily Blunt movie. Okay. Sal gave it an 8 out of 10. And he's never really steered me wrong, so I checked it out. Yeah, man, that movie's fucking good. It's a good horror movie. I don't really know, it takes place around Christmas. Maybe not really a Christmas movie. But that shit was pretty scary, dude. Wind Chill. Check that shit out. And thank you, Sal. If you are interested in following him and reading his movie reviews, his username is @JTally986. That's JTALLEY 986 on Twitter. Check him out.
All right, everybody. If you like what you hear, hit subscribe, add us to your favorites, try and leave us a rating and a review. We're on Instagram, Twitter, @MoviesWithRon. There's a Facebook page, movieswithron@gmail.com. All right, it's been fun.
All right, love you guys.
Bye.
Movies with Ron.
Fear the burn, ignite the night.
No, I'm trying to make space in my normal coffee for the Fireball. And the normal coffee is hot as fuck.